3 real horror Reddit writer share stories. Number 3, The Hitchhiker. I was taking a late-night shift as an Uber driver. It was around 2 a.m., and I got a trip request from a girl who was clearly drunk. She had called me several times before I finally answered, and she was very insistent that I pick her up. When I got to her, she was stumbling around and couldn't find her keys. I got out to help her, and she kept apologizing for being so drunk. Finally got her into the car, and she passed out immediately. I was trying to be a good Samaritan, but I was getting kind of creeped out because she was laying across both seats and wasn't breathing very steadily. Then she started mumbling in her sleep, and I heard her say, "Don't stop, please don't stop." I of course freaked out and slammed on the brakes. She jolted upright and said, "What? What did you do?" And then she started freaking out. I told her that I stopped because she said she didn't want me to stop. She apologized profusely and then asked me to keep driving. I told her I wasn't comfortable, and she threw a mini tantrum, started crying, and then passed out again. I drove her home, and when she finally woke up, she was very apologetic and paid me a huge tip. But the whole time I was just staring at the passenger seat where she had been laying, half expecting her to just suddenly be gone. Yeah, rightfully so. Glad you got out of that situation okay. No. 2, The Motorcycle. I was delivering food and I stopped at this house, and it was one of those really nice houses in a rich neighborhood. So I knock on the door and a guy answers. He grabs his stuff and he goes to leave, and he doesn't have his motorcycle helmet. I'm like, "Hey man, you forgot your helmet." He looks at me and he goes, "Oh, that's okay. I don't need a helmet. I never wear a helmet." And he starts walking out. I'm like, "Okay, cool, whatever." And as he's walking away, I see him trip on his own feet and fall flat on his face. And I instantly regret not telling him that it was like a 10-second walk to his bike. So I go outside to check on him and I start laughing. This guy is literally covered in blood. His nose is completely busted and his eyes are all black and blue. And he looks over at me and he goes, "Yeah, that's what happens when you don't wear a helmet." Number 1, The Graveyard. So I used to work at a gas station in high school, and there was this one graveyard across the street. Well, one night I'm working the night shift and I look out the window and I see a dude walk out of the graveyard, right? And I'm just like, "Oh, that's weird." And about 15 minutes later, he walks back in. And at this point, it's like 2 a.m. and this guy is covered in dirt. His clothes are dirty, his hair is dirty, his face is dirty. And he walks in and he goes, "Do you have any towels or napkins or anything?" And I'm just giving him weird looks because I haven't said a word to me. And he takes off his shirt, which is covered in dirt, and he starts wiping his face with it. And then he does it again with his pants. And then he looks up at me and he goes, "Thanks." And he leaves. And I just stared at the door as he walked out, and I'll never forget this look on his face. And then he turned around and he looked at me and he gave me a thumbs up and a peace sign. And then he walked away. And I was just like, okay, well, that's creepy. And then 5 minutes later, the power goes out, and I'm sitting there in the complete darkness for 30 minutes until somebody comes and starts helping me. But yeah, that's a pretty scary story. Glad you got out of that situation okay. That was 3 real horror writer share stories. And if you like this content, check out the podcast. Also hit that subscribe button because new videos are put out every single day.